So I mean, the hardest mallet we have is just a straight up wood mallet with no felt on it. And then the softest mallet we have is this mallet, which is a lot of felt on it. So the more felt you put on it, the softer it is. And so you can hear the difference between this sound and this sound. Makes a dramatic difference. And yeah, they wear out after a while. Usually I felt my mallets at the end of a year. And so the felt wears out, and we have to refelt them. And so we buy what's called American felt, which is a high-end felt, kind of expensive, and you have to buy it in 3-foot sheets. And I felt my own mallets, whereas some timpanists will just buy a new mallet. And the way that you do it is you have to measure the felt, you have to cut the felt, and then what timpanist tends to use is dental floss, because it's like a really strong thread. And so you take the needle and you put the dental floss in it, needle it up, and then put it on there and pull it really tight. And of course you have different wraps, like this is what's called a ball wrap, and so it looks like a ball. And this is what we call a cartwheel wrap, and usually it has a seam on one side. You can see this one because there's a little black dot right there. And what happens, we mark that black dot is because you don't want to hit on the seam because it gets like a tick in the sound. So we always want to play on the opposite side of the black dot. And this is a cartwheel mallet because it has a screw on the top, and so the felt is tied this way. Whereas on this one, it's a ball-shaped mallet, we actually tie it on the bottom right here, and it creates that little ball. The wood, like I said, is the hardest. And then we have this one. This has a little bit tighter wrap, but also the head is really small. So it's also hard, but not as hard as the felt. Then this is a bigger, you can tell the different sizes. These are both cartwheels of the same size, except for that one is wider than that one. So the difference between this, as opposed to this, you can hear the difference. So this has a slightly softer sound, and this one has the softest sound to play on it, because it has a lot of felt. It has 2 layers of felt, but actually one on the inside and one on the outside. So this is a double layer. It'll be the first time I get to play Mahler 6 on timpani. And 2 of my favorite composers that I love to play is Mahler and Beethoven. Mostly because they just write really well for the instrument. Of all the composers, they really know how to write for the instrument. It's like a solo instrument, whereas some composers will write it and you're like just strictly accompaniment. You don't play that much, you just accompany. But Beethoven especially, I mean, you're like a rock and roll star when you play Beethoven.